Hi there, and welcome to my Soul Authority channel. I'm the Reinvent Tool, transformational life coach, holistic psychologist, and meditation guide. I'm staking out the safe spiritual space in solidarity so we can hear our authentic voice over all the noise and realign ourselves with clear choice. This is at the heart of Soul Authority. If you felt burned out and low, join us in rekindling our inner fires and getting back in the flow. Alrighty. So, what we're going to do now is hack into all of our layers of distraction and conditioning and old beliefs, habits, as much as possible, even if some things are inherited or whether genetically or observed, in your family of origin and your whole wiring and your mind has only observed this, especially in your early years, how to be, and completely, I guess, wired the habits in your brain, making it a little bit more physical, even if you will. I still think it's possible to hack through that and just get a taste. Even if in your waking life on your own, it's gonna be hard to go back to that. Your body is gonna remember, and it's so powerful. What I've seen, I've seen people come in and even holding them still, in my office, created this huge PTSD reaction. And you could look at that and think, oh my gosh, or they thought of it, maybe this is going to be weeks, months before they could simultaneously feel still and embodied and calm. I have been able to do that in the first session with them, just hacking through it and showing them how they can have a trauma body and a truth body and a calm body simultaneously at the same time. And then leaving, maybe they had a hard time doing that on their own, but their body remembered. Your body knows how powerful that is. So that's what we're going to do. Um, as much as possible. And if it doesn't happen, also no biggie. Um, just continue to be compassionate and kind and loving to yourself instead of um, beating yourself up for it, because that might be the biggest habit and belief to maybe first break before we can even hack through that, right? And so it's if it's really, really harsh and rigid, it's just wanting your attention. And the best way to fight that again is not hate with hate and frustration with frustration, because whatever you resist will persist. It's not pushing against it and just sort of maybe even experimenting with, doing some Aikido moves and going underneath it or tricking it with some other thing instead of fighting it head on. But anyway, however we get there, is fine. We're just gonna get there now in the way that I have found works best for people who are brand new to this. So first thing we do is just tap on the heart center and we get the body physically prepared, just like getting in a good energetic posture, because I find that is like half of the battle, half of the game, if we don't want to use violent language, half of the task. So as you tap in the on the heart, we're imagining our body in 3D space. So the upper chakras and the lower chakras are evenly activated or present, if you will. Um, Sometimes I even imagine like a Chinese acrobat with the spinning saucer. So we're really going for center, or you can think of yourself as a yogi or dancer, and you're trying to find your body in space, front and back, left, right, top, bottom, are equally dispersed. And it's almost like I'm a spinning saucer and the stick is right on my core, right? And I'm just like fighting my way. Another thing, once we've done that as best as possible, we don't want to get perfectionistic, but what you then could do is think of yourself as a sheet or a tortilla. We want all the wrinkles out, and we also don't want holes. If there are spots or parts in yourself that you feel like holy or not, present, and other parts kind of thick, like the tortilla, I would take that little part or parts like sticking out or shouldn't, be way out there. While the center is not filled up, I tear that out, I smack it back in the middle, I roll it back out. So that is sort of getting presence in what I call your soul sanctuary, which is kind of like a mini earth. It's kind of like a bubble, if you will, and we want to have um, a force field around it, like a firewall. And this is kind of also like your computer, your operating system. We want everything functioning well, oiled and smooth and present. Okay, so that's half of the, like I said, the battle. Now we're going to go in your heart's center, and we're going to open up that sacred garden, that sanctuary. And what this will allow us to do is deepen our connection to the elements and mind, body, heart, soul in the form of air, fire, earth, and water within ourselves and with nature and Mother Nature. Sort of, I see this as being side by side, where we're tuning into, we're like Mother Earth is like a tuning fork and helps us to find out where we're a little off base, or not in tune and not in sync with her wisdom. So you can think of it that in that way. But another way that I do it is to imagine yourself now sitting with your sacred central tree inside the sanctuary. And why am I doing that? Because I've developed some of these steps as interventions to directly address the most common hiccups that we have that stand in the way of us connecting to our true nature. And our connection to our true nature is what I believe is at the heart of the beginner's mind. So the mind is even secondary. It's meaning, I'm thinking of mind as a bigger mind, mind, body, heart, soul, connected, aligned, right? And then once that is aligned, a belief that's congruent with that forms, and then the thoughts, feelings, and all that are also congruent with that. So the biggest problem is this disconnection from our true nature, and I'm going straight to the core first and foremost. So the biggest thing we do is we don't even appreciate life, where life comes from, right? We're just like little babies. Nobody taught us. We're not thinking cognitive, and then we start thinking and learning things cognitively, even words, and what do we get as response? Good job. How confusing is that to a 3-year-old or 2-year-old? Good job, or what a good girl, right? You're like already. So if I don't do that, I'm not good. I'm not gonna get the exciting response from the person who's taking care of me. That they're not gonna be lit up and more likely to come and do what I, you see what I mean with the conditioning. So we're going underneath that, where there's no job to be done, there's just aliveness and appreciation for what is. As a newborn baby, you're already doing this. You're breathing, your heart's beating, you're being fed by the sun, by the earth. You're a child. You're a part of. You're not even a separate part. Like connect. You're like a hair follicle. You're an expression, a tiny expression of Mother Earth. And the fact that you jump up and down, that doesn't mean that you're not deeply connected and of the same materials. If you look under the microscope, like the earth, the dust, the whatever, the tree that is seems attached, but you can also pull out, right? You're the same. So many parts are the same, the elements, the molecules, all that. So we are now with the beginner's mind clearing all the conditioning, the beliefs, the not good enough, the productivity, the rush to get things done, the belief that we're gonna get one step ahead and that is gonna ensure our survival, and then we're gonna be happy and finally exhale. It's just so twisted in my mind. So we're just gonna exhale now. And you're gonna sit with your tree. I'm going to inhale too with the tree, inhale and exhale. So this tree that we're going to find is a mature tree, and it's going to represent you and your connection, not being an island and not connected, because I talk about that as sort of being a body of water that's not connected to the bigger waterways and has this healthy flow going. Doesn't matter how organic or whatever you do on yourself to work on yourself, if you're not connected to big or something, that's a problem. And your mind, you can think of beginner's mind, I'm reinventing myself, I'm working on this and that part of yourself. It's still based on a belief that you're totally in control, that you're independent, that you're not part of a bigger system, that you have more power than you do, more influence and more responsibility also that you truly have. So that is a very individualistic, separatist kind of faulty belief system that many of us abide by, right? So we're correcting the most basic of belief systems, which is you're independent, you're individual, you're a person, you're human, but you're also very interdependent and you're just a part of a whole that's so mysterious your mind will never be able to figure it out and you can never outsmart it. The best you can do is surrender, develop your intelligence as best as possible, but make sure all that intelligence honors and aligns with something that you'll spend lifetime trying to figure out, right? So the intelligence is more like that, working with a bigger boss than trying to boss over it or trying to dominate, exploit it. So sitting with the tree and breathing in and out with the tree, opening the crown to receive wisdom, and then breathing out what I call the number crunching or the reduction or the logic or the sequencing. Thinking of it that way puts, I feel, the thinking ego mind in its right place and right perspective, and also gets us out of the habit of the way we think, which is with the forebrain, the planning, the control, the, sort of separating from, because when we lean back against the tree, what I want you to also think is the tree has my back, nature has my back. It's intertwined with this whole belief system or knowing that you're part of this whole, you're breathing together, you're dependent on nature, nature's dependent on, well, not so much, but kind of you can exhale, they breathe in, not so much, but we're very dependent, right, on this oxygen that we breathe in. But we have a lot of power, maybe not in our exhale, but what we do has huge influence in because of our thwarted power too. We can do a lot of damage. So it's more like we have a huge influence not to damage. It's more like that. Um, and stay in alignment, and we have huge influence in helping others who do a lot of damage not do that damage. So in that way, sitting with the tree, we're doing that. We're honoring this basic pure primal connection with the elements moving through us, with this nature that we're part of, and we're honoring where life comes from, what gives it to us, which is from the sun, this energy, this power, and also from the below, the fire in the center of the earth, and then the elements, minerals, animals, ancestors, plants, all have come before us. Yes, it's one big soup, right, of recycling that happened on a physical level, more or less clean but dirty in the sense that we messed even the physical with that, and even more the energetic and the soul aspects, meaning the ones who came before us, decomposed, and I call it also composted, um, but not spiritually. There's so much that has not been healed, addressed, broken down, reabsorbed. So some of us who are sensitive and also don't have the proper boundaries with, around our mini earth, so to speak, can absorb a lot of this. And again, it's honoring, like I said, our rightful place, because it doesn't help either to take up too much responsibility. So we can be separatists in the way where we're completely removed, or we can be engulfed in the way where we're also not taking full responsibility of what is ours, and ours meaning our mission could be unresolved other stuff, but don't take on everything, because then nothing is going to be done. You're going to be overwhelmed by that. So, anyway, that is sort of the practice of sitting with the tree, reconnecting, opening the channels, the connection to what feeds us, sitting with our tree, giving us backbone, acknowledging that we're doing something counter culture. So we need a lot of courage and really leaning back, which is what we don't do, right? Sit still, ground, lean back. Like I said, because that freaks us out a little bit. We're not productive. We're not doing a good job. So we might even say, good job meditating, but it's not a good job thing. It's just a feeling now that you're doing this scary thing, and in your body, you're feeling like, this feels right. This feels like home. This feels aligned. That's what we want to get to. And many of us get to that, but guess what? It washes out. It feels like it can't hold its own when then confronted to, right, all that productivity, all the other things that are happening in our culture and all around us. So this is sort of sinking deeper in that, giving it greater weight. And when we practice things with the beginner's mind, trying to get back to this, trying to get to this neutrality, to this clarity, to equanimity, where you're not bringing any past baggage or fears, catastrophic thinking, or anything to the table. You just have wisdom. You've seen and experienced what could happen, but you're not making any preemptive decisions, attacks, or anything. You're just waiting for input, and that's what equanimity is, and responding as best as you can based on that input, without also responding and spiraling. Because it's not like, oh, I'm neutral, I'm not being overreactive, but as soon as you get something that reminds you of the past, then it's sort of moment to moment, staying present with what you're getting, and bringing this foundation that we're building of your true nature with you, so you can drop into that. That's sort of what I see as the beginner's mind, and holding on to the things that make sense, that feel like they don't interfere, and then relying on these skills and these practices to create more and more mastery. Okay, so let me see what we can do next. So as we're sitting with the tree, finding our center, air, fire, earth, and water all around us in the four directions very much remind us of the cardinal directions, right? And a compass. So, next intuitive thing is to think of the heart as a compass, and a heart or a compass without any magnets around, right? A reliable, clear compass is to me your most reliable tool to use or have with you when you practice a beginner's mind. I think of interference or things that get in the way of the beginner's mind as all the charged emotions or little magnets, so to speak, or they act like little magnets in your force field. So that's one way to think of a something that's not a beginner's mind. You're just triggered, and you can tell that there's something charged or something that is aggravated or uh, maybe pulling you down or spiraling, feeling like you lost your ground, you're not, your best self. That is interference that is getting in the way. So when we shake that out, when we look at that, we often first start just noticing an emotion, right? We're angry or we're hurt or we're feeling abandoned or whatever. But when you unpack that more, and we're going to do that with air, that's why we start with air in front of you, helping the mind, right? Helping you see the big picture, the long view, also old stories, old beliefs, and we're trying to infuse more spaciousness, inspire new ideas, thoughts, insights. So when we look in that emotion, we often will find a belief and a thought that stems from polarized thinking. So that is also one big distortion that the tree helps to remedy, helps you to think more holistically. That what goes up must go down, meaning if you want your tree to grow, achievements, things that are more visible, you need to do deeper work and go dig in the darkness to hold, find the nourishment, the strength, the rooting to uphold you. So a lot of our beliefs or thinking stories about ourselves are influenced by that good or bad, success, failure, polarity, pain, pleasure. We're also kind of wired, we need to think in dualistic ways. And that's very, very organic. Just life, death is dualistic. So we need to honor that. We need to stay alive. We need to stay healthy. We need to stay pain free as much as possible. And at the same time, think of that duality like the tree being engulfed in a circle in wholeness, which is bigger than that line, than the A to B, right? Moving away chronically, away from the pain, away from the failure, away from. So it's like a yin yang sort of circle around that. And that's what we're then bringing to the new beliefs. And that's the old beliefs or habits that we need to discard, to think about things purely in the polarities, or maybe we think holistically, but we want to have the holistic thinking as a subset of the polarized thinking. That is not going to work. That is not, congruent with your true nature and what your beginner's mind needs to hold as a belief. The more correct belief is that dualism, that polarity, is a small subset of holistic thinking, of the whole, of the circle, of the, and not just the circle. I think like that yin yang mystery where new beginnings, new life stems from darkness and death, and also attachment just to light or grasping towards that will lead to shadow parts forming and eventually death or, like your demise. So the dualism is a subset of that. So we want to embody that feeling. What is that like? Where our success, failure, struggles need to bow down to whatever wisdom comes through and tells us what to do, right? We might like strive to whatever, save a job, save a marriage, save a whatever. Think good, good, good. That must be good, good, good. My success. The rest would, if I do the opposite, that means I failed. But you have to bow down, surrender. Is that true? maybe the wisdom will say, no, you need to end that. You need to end the job. You need to end that marriage. You need to end the thing. Or when you're feeling, you're not really truly feeling. You're showing up in ways that are not celebrated, not acknowledged in the surroundings. And we need to be able to discern that. And so that is also equanimity, having a little bit of spaciousness, and being able to listen to ourselves despite what's happening, not grasping just to good, bad. So having air help with that, the long view, zooming out, seeing the big picture is something to practice all the time when it comes to the beliefs, to really toss that out and looking at this charged emotion, where you don't feel free, but you must do this, or this is going to do this for you, that for you. You're going to now look at it and really look at the belief underneath that and discard that belief, um, if needed. And so then we bring in the new belief, and then next we work with fire. And fire, and after fire is earth. These are more the boundaries that we're setting, and then the habits that are going to be forming, right? These new structures. So here's where I also see people not doing enough, and that is going to make it hard to set that limit and plan that new thing, or try to build that new thing while you still have an undermining something energy going on because your limit within yourself is not strong enough. So with fire, what we're going to do now is, when it's sort of like your magnet, that the distracting little magnet in your field is dissolving. But what needs to happen simultaneously is the inner strength needs to get stronger, the boundaries, the realignment of what's, sort of protecting you from other little magnets and things getting in your field. That's not strong enough. So that comes from this courage. It might feel like deserving if you've sort of went through life not good enough and I got to earn all these things before I deserve this, that kind of thing. This is like, just think of it as your heart beating vigorously, life energy coming from the earth, the center of the earth, nature, how flowers and plants just like burst and bloom, right? With this vigor, life energy. It's more like that. We need to get that online, and the belief, that needs to be cleared or set a limit with this whole belief of naturally not deserving, or like it's your job to do something before you get that reward, right? That is just gonna really create a problems. It's very sabotaging. So we're clearing that, like your fever, protecting your body without you interfering much. Well, we do interfere. We break down our immunity with all these thoughts. But think of it as, when you're very young, it's not really thinking getting in the way, and your fever and your T cells and your white blood cells, all that fighting really vigorously, to protect you from all that, from all the pathogens in your path. It's kind of like that. We need to boost that back up. So that is what that firewall, that protection is more like an immunity coming from the inside out. And it can also be a little bit, external, meaning, we can connect it to your thoughts, the mind work that we just did, where hopefully what made has made the most sense is a new thought for people, a new belief, is thinking of it as you having a firewall around your computer, who we tend that we tend to care more about than the computer we are, this operating system that we are. The thought of our life's work getting lost or stolen or contaminated on a computer matters more than our life's work and all the things we've done in our whole system, in our bodies, and in our energy fields. We tend to rationalize, well, maybe they criticized that and did that to me and treated me that way because I may have done this and said that wrong, or right. When it's your computer, you don't give a f, right? You're like, I don't care if it's a work in progress, whatever. Don't butt in here. It's none of your business, and I don't want you messing with it and messing with the files I've worked so hard on. It's kind of that attitude that we need to have to complement and support what our body naturally wants to do, which is butt out. You might be right. I might have to improve this or that, but you don't get to intrude, and it's on my terms. I'll get to you when I get to you, when that works for me. Okay, that audacity, that kind of entitlement, we're afraid to practice because also, yeah, there are a lot of people who practice it over and beyond in a negative way, but a lot of us also implode and don't do that enough. Most of my clients implode and don't do it enough in terms of self-deserving, or they could do both. We end up doing both, right? And then we beat ourselves up for exploding and whatever, getting triggered. But that is because we implode. So when you go way underneath that pattern, you both of this whole pattern is going to be more on the surface, and underneath this, you're going to have the foundation and the inner strength. So now you're ready to plan new things, have new beginnings. Your earth is and your energy field is solid, at least. If there's things that were not composted, your ancestral line or whatever, you feel more and more like you did your part and what you're designed to do, and you're going to be able to plant or grow even more. That's going to help you and all the people that you're meant to help. So then what happens is the bad habits, the old habits can finally truly die and rest or be composted, and the new beginnings, the new seeds can be planted and be nourished instead of undermined. And then when we get to water, water is going to do what it's designed to do now. A lot of people come wanting the water fixed right away. They're drowning, there's a drought, there's this, that. But as you see, we have to do the work first, get to the beginner's mind in terms of air, fire, earth, mind, your energy field, and your body as best as possible, to connect to your true nature. Before water, you're going to be able to hydrate and not, overly water, detox versus not get, to things at all, and circulate, have the flow run deep and wide and everywhere it needs to, have communication between all the parts of the self through these waterways, and emote, have the energy, have this beautiful meaning, which is our energy, emotions, our emotion. It's all these waterways, this energy flowing through us that suddenly we know we're sad, we're embarrassed, we're angry, I mean, it's crazy if you think about it. How our body heals, body regulates, uh, body keeps things in balance through communication of this mysterious emotion, which then we have to apply to an interaction, often a relationship of sorts, or what other humans do with other things, usually with the planet or things around us that matter. And then we need to, based on these emotions, assess, right, if what inspired their behavior, and use hopefully our beginner's mind to discern or backlight where they're off and try to correct it. You see how complex that is? And the more we stay in our beginner's mind, we start back with ear. We try our best, and then something else pops up, and we put it back in the mix. So this is how complex and mysterious it is, but at the same time, it's our true nature, it's our first nature. So sometimes I say it will feel like second nature in no time, but hopefully it will feel like first nature in no time, because we've done this before. And not only that, we do it all the time on some level. We're just disconnected from often the body, and often heart and soul, that are, just naturally a little bit more aligned with what's happening. So it's just a matter of paying attention, turning our gaze back towards trusting what that feels like to really celebrate life. And at least, a few times a day, full blown, feel like you're doing a good job or doing the right thing by making lots of space to full on feel that feeling of connection, of being good enough, of just being. And then taking that or practicing, I kind of sometimes with my new people, we do a little bit tapping on the head and rubbing up the belly hard simultaneously. I forget if there's a name for that little exercise, but it's kind of like that. And you got to keep on staying connected to the heart, even through the ups and downs in life, or what your mind will think of as ups and downs. And if one is to stop, let the head stop, let the hand tapping up and down stop, but keep the heart going. Keep the connection to your heart going. Usually it's the opposite, right? We just keep going up and down and all over. But that needs to be a subset of the bigger. So anyway, as you see, this is like a seasonal um, model, and you keep on throwing things into the mix. So this is another angle at looking at the soul sanctuary, looking at what we're doing. But this was designed with the beginner's mind in mind to help you get to your beginner's mind. So let's sit with the tree now. Enjoy this for a moment. Feel totally at home. Feel like you're being. You just are. And maybe what you get is a little hit like, oh, I am good enough. So it shouldn't be a fighting or going in there to counter the not good enough. It should feel very easy, like your breath, just being alive. And at the same time, feeling more vigorous, feeling healthier, feeling stronger, feeling more capable. And then adding things to this. Even if you're a master at whatever you're doing, thinking, writing, whatever, I want you to carefully add that and make sure you don't lose this. As soon as you lose this connection, you stop. And then with the beginner's mind, right? Try to add it again and do it simultaneously, and even keep one foot like deeper into this. You can lose it a little bit, but this is what I mean when I say 51% more connected to your wholeness, to your truth body, than to wounding your trauma body, and you will see 180 degrees difference in well-being. All right, so letting all of this take deep root in your consciousness and slowly retracing your steps, finding your way back to the present moment, to the room that you're in, bringing your mind back in tune with your daily activities without losing connection to this deep part of yourself, to your true nature, to what to revert back to when you want to practice a beginner's mind. And do that as much as possible. As soon as you feel a little off, a little empty, a little disconnected, a little robotic, just go back. Go back to this. And then do the thing again. And hopefully with more meaning, more fulfillment, more connection. So thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining me today in staking out spiritual space in solidarity and in community. Please share this video and the Zoom link below with anyone who would love some support in hearing their authentic voice over all the noise and realign with clear choice. I offer me time through meditation virtual meetings every second and fourth Monday of the month from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. PST. If you would like deeper and more personalized guidance, how to heal, love, lead with Soul Authority, please visit me at soulauthoritycoaching.com or thesacredhealingwell.com for more information.